Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like him. With him we win, he's our champion. With him we can lose, we always win, he's our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win, you're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win, you're our champion. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win, you're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win, you're our champion. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can lose, we always win, you're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing hallelujah for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing hallelujah for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there's none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing hallelujah for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing hallelujah for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing hallelujah for the King who is Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. We lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome one. And there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Allah Yahuwah, Allah Yahuwah. Worthy, 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 worthy is our King. He is our champion. Allah Yahuwah, we praise you, we adore you. We appreciate you for yet one more young to be in the land of the living, that we may celebrate and commemorate a time of rest, a time to gather and learn, and a time that we are resting our hearts, our minds, even our finances. So we do appreciate Abba Yahuwah for bringing us over and through the dangerous highways and byways on last Layla. We appreciate him for keeping us out of incidents and accidents. We praise him for allowing us to have a sweet communion and sweet rest on last Layla. We appreciate him for all that he's doing, all that he's yet going to do. Appreciate him and do give him Todah for allowing us to wake up this Yom with a desire to know him and serve him and to keep his commandments, with a desire to know more about him, with a desire to push on in spite of what we are hearing and seeing in the world today. We still desire to push on, and it's not a drag, it's not difficult, it's not hard, it's not tedious, but it is what we desire and is what we will continue to do. It's not a hard thing. So we do appreciate him for that, what he's doing, that what he's done, and that's what he's yet going to do. So we do give him Todah. We're going to begin this morning with the Baruch of the Torah. Repeat with me, Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
For all eternity.
For all eternity.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
And gave us his Torah.
And gave us his Torah.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
And implanted eternal life within us.
And implanted eternal life within us.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Now we will have the reading of the Ten Commandments.
Aleph. I am Yahuwah, your power, which brought you out of the land of Mizraim from the bed of slavery. Bet you shall have no other power before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mind beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that hate me and keep my commandments. Gimel. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah, your power, and falsify it, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name and empties it. Dalet. Guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahuwah your power has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah your power. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your foreigner that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Mizraim, and that Yahuwah your power brought you out of there through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahuwah your power commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Hey, Esteem Yahweh in your image, Yahuwah your power has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuwah your power is about to give you. Why? You shall not murder. Zain, neither shall you commit adultery. Ket, neither shall you steal. Tet, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. Yud, neither shall you desire your neighbor's issue, neither shall you cover your neighbor's bed, his field, his maidservant, or his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahuwah spoke unto all your assembly in the mount, out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them into tables of stone and delivered them unto me. And did so.
And it is so.
Leviticus chapter 6, verses 1 through 18. These are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your power commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahuwah your power, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son, and your grandson, all the yamim of your life, and that your yamim may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yasharal, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah power of your Abbas has promised you in the land that can honey. Shema Yasharal, Yahuwah is our power, Yahuwah is Akkad. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our supreme one, Yahuwah is Akkad. And you shall have him with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this yom shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bed, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, to fall, to bind to the mind.
Right.
And you shall write them upon the posts of your bed and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahuwah your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you great cities which you did not build, full of all great things which you filled not. And wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall have eaten and be full, then beware lest you forget Yahuwah, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bed of slavery. You shall fear Yahuwah your power, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after the power of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of Yahuwah your power be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahuwah your power as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahuwah your power, and his testimonies and his statutes, which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahuwah, that you may go in and possess the great land, which Yahuwah swore unto your fathers. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us have another song, please.
Great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Someone sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. Come on. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great. How great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great. How great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Come on, sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Praise him, praise him, praise him. How great, how great, how great, how great, how high, how great he is. Worthy, 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 you're worthy. How great is his name? Not a title, but a name. There is power in that name. There is power in that relationship.
Yes.
And so we do appreciate him for the relationship, and we do appreciate him for what he's doing, what he's done, and what he's yet going to do. How great is Yahuwah. He's great.
That's right.
He's great.
Yes.
He's greater than great.
That's right.
Words cannot compare, and words can definitely not really frame how powerful and how awesome he is. But with what we have, we will do the best we can to show him how much we appreciate him and how much we adore him for his kindness and for his compassion and for his long suffering towards us as his people. I appreciate him every yom of my life for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do. I pray once again that your yom is going great thus far. As we continue to move forward, we want to turn our attention to the scroll of Yahush, the son of Nun, chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. Very important for us, especially as I said before, the time that we're in, especially with temperatures rising and attitudes really flaring up at the drop of a dime, not the drop of a hat, but at the drop of a dime, and how people will tend to act towards you. People don't just respond, they react now. And so it's important that we act accordingly, that we respond and that we respond. And there are times you have to react. You don't respond when a speeding car is coming to you. You react because you get out the way. You don't be standing up there, you will get rolled over. So it's important that we know, but one thing about it is that if we let wisdom have her perfect work in our lives, then she will lead and guide us in the manner and how we are, where we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to do.
Right.
So we want to, once again, turn our attention to the scroll of Yahush, the son of Nun, chapter 1, and we'll look at verse 7. Oh. Again. We're going to look at it. Just give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just 1 second. All right. So it's best to have more than one resource. Only be to guard to do according to all the Torah which servant command. Not turn from it to the so that you act wisely where you go. Verse 8, as I've tell you our time of confession. Let us repeat this together. I will not let the scroll of the Torah.
I will not let the scroll of the Torah
depart out of my mouth.
depart out of my mouth.
But I shall meditate in it.
But I shall meditate in it.
Yom and Layla.
Yom and Layla.
So that I may guard to do.
So that I may guard
according to all that is written in it.
to all that is written in it.
But make my way prosperous.
So that I shall make my way prosperous.
And act wisely.
And act wisely.
And act wisely.
Act wisely.
Now look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, and you shall act wisely. And you shall act wisely. Look at your other neighbor, tell your other neighbor, and you shall act wisely. Say, I'll be Yahuwah. I shall act wisely. I'll be Yahuwah. I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
I am determined. To act wisely. I am determined. To act wisely. No matter how I feel. I am determined. To act wisely. No matter how I feel. I am determined. To act wisely. And so, under this, so we don't move by a feeling, but we move
by what we know. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important, because there are days that you rise and you will rise, but it feels like the sun stays down. There'll be times you will move and it's like nothing else is moving with you. It's important that no matter what we may feel, that we feel are determined and motivated by who we know, by what we know to act wise.
That's right.
Very important for us to understand that, because there are times that you will rise and it seems like nothing else is rising with you. If there are times that it'll feel like that you are moving and nothing else is moving with you, but we have to remember we move by belief and not by sight.
That's right.
And with that, it's important that we also remember to act wisely. And it is so.
It is so.
All right, let's have one song.
There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none. Oh no, there is none like you. Else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none, no. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none, no. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none, oh no, there is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, and find there is none like you. There is none, no. There I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none, there is none, no. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, and find there is none like you. There is none, oh no, there is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none, there is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you. There is none, oh no, there is none like you. No one else can touch my heart. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search for all eternity, Yahuwah, and find there is none like you.
He's worthy of our praise. He's worthy of our cheer. He's worthy. He's worthy. There is none like him, and we do appreciate him for his compassion and his friend towards us, his people. We appreciate you, Abba Yahweh. We appreciate you. Mishlei 15:8, the sacrifices of the wicked is an abomination, hateful, exceedingly offensive unto you, Abba Yahweh. Prayer of the upright is your delight. Mishlei 3:4, associated great understanding and high in the sight of judgment of Yahuwah and man. And it is so.
And it is so.
Yeah, 33:4, Kodesh of Yahuwah hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. Micah 3:8, but truly I am full of the Ruach Kodesh of Yahuwah, and the judgment of might to declare Jacob his transgression and to Yahshua his sin. And it is so.
And it is so.
To heal him 1:1. Baruch is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the unrighteous, nor sitteth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the instructions of Abba Yahuwah, and he doth meditate. And it is so.
And it is so.
Abraham 11:6, but without belief it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahuwah must believe that he is, and that he is a reward of them that diligently seek him. And it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim 34:15, the eyes of Yahuwah are upon the upright, and his ears are open unto our cry. Verse 17, the upright cry in Yahuwah, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. Acts 1:8, Masa 1:8, but we shall receive power after that. The Ruach HaKodesh has come upon us. And we shall be witnesses unto him both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Shamar and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is. Yehukanan Aleph 2, 5, and 6. But whoever keeps his Torah, truly the Ahab of Yahuwah is perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. He who says he ought himself also to walk just as he walked. Chapter 5, verse 3 through 15. For this is the Ahab for Yahuwah, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not difficult, because everyone having been begotten of Yahuwah comes the world. And this is the overcome that has overcome the world, our belief. Who is the one who overcomes the world but he who believes that Yahush is the son of Yahuwah? This is the one that came by water and blood. Yahush Mashiach, not only by water, but by water and blood. And it is the Ruach who bears witness, because the Ruach is the truth. Because there are three who bear witness, the Ruach and the water and the blood, and the three are in agreement. We receive the witness of men, the witness of Yahuwah is greater, because this is the witness of Yahuwah which he has witnessed concerning his son. The one who believes in the Son of Yahuwah has the witness in himself. The one who does not believe Yahuwah has made him a liar, because he has not believed the witness Yahuwah has given concerning his son. This is the witness that Yahuwah has given us eternal life. This life is in his son. He who possesses the son possesses life. He who does not possess the Son of Yahuwah does not possess life. I have written this to you who believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah, so that you know you possess everlasting life, and so that you believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah. And this boldness that we have in him, that if we ask whatever according to his desire, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we have, that we have the petition that we have asked of him. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. We're going to do our affirmation, then our declaration, and then we're going to seal our time of praise, prayer, and worship. It's important that we understand that praise and worship is a part of our lifestyle. We praise because he is worthy.
Yes.
We worship him because it's due him.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, because we know he's worthy.
That's right.
And because he is worthy, it ought to never be a thought in our mind or even a question as to why, someone is really praising him or worshiping him. It ought to be known. It is one of those understood, one of those things that should automatically be understood.
That's right.
We do appreciate him for all that he's doing, and that he allowed time. Now listen, to work on our behalf. He did, because he allowed us to see that, give us that time so that we could come into truth. If it wasn't for time, the time that he had given us, we wouldn't be walking in truth.
That's right.
Because it didn't come into truth immediately. Some of us, it took some time, some convincing. It took some turning down and some breaking down. I thought about something yesterday, getting ready to do our affirmation. I thought about it personally. I let go of myself. That's when I was able to grab onto him. Everything that I thought and knew as truth, when I let go and was willing to let that go, as Rabbi Shaul said, I count it dung for the excellency of Yahush. And you have to understand, Yahush was a representative and still is a representative of Yahuwah.
Right.
And so when I let go of that, what I thought was right and what I thought was truth, when I was able to embrace and hold on to truth, real truth,
Yeah.
and that is Yahuwah. So I appreciate him. So understand, worship is truth. When you understand who you are and you understand relationship, then worship is not even a second thought. It is just a part of your life.
That's right.
You don't have to think about praising and worshiping him. It's just something that happens naturally.
That's right.
Because of the relationship. So we do appreciate him and we do esteem him for all that he's done, all that he's doing, and all he's yet going to do, especially for his long suffering. Because y'all know some of us, we were hard nuts to crack, many of us. But in doing so, he didn't damage us, but he was able to bring us into truth without damage. Where it say, some packages are damaged goods. We're not damaged goods.
That's right.
And so we're able to continue to grow and develop in a manner that can be pleasing to him. And so it is with that we constantly keep a prayer on our lips and a praise on our heart, a prayer on our lips and a prayer in our heart. Constantly affirm and continually reaffirm why we do. We have a purpose. We're not a people out here without a navigational system. Torah navigates us.
Right.
We are not out here walking and running blindlessly, being blinded, but we have purpose and we know our purpose. And our purpose is to walk in his truth. And so this is why we have our affirmation to not just remind us, but to remind listening ear, whether physical or spiritual, that we know our purpose and to keep that mandate and purpose that is upon our lives.
That's right.
And it is so. Repeat with me. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibram.
I am Abram.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibram.
I am Abram.
I have the life and nature
Life and nature
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
of Yahuwah and my ruach.
That life is the Torah
That life is the Torah
of Yasharal.
of Yasharal.
I purpose to walk
I purpose to walk
in the Torah of life.
in the Torah of life.
Me.
Is in me.
Yahuwah's ahab
Yahuwah's ahab
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's power
Yahuwah's power
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching.
He is leading me.
He is leading.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
The Ruach of Yahuwah
The Ruach Kodesh of Yahuwah
is leading me.
is leading me.
I'll follow her leading.
I follow her leading.
I'll walk in the Torah.
I walk in the Torah.
Yahush, our Mashiach.
Our Mashiach.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Repeat with me, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah.
in the name of Yahush,
In the name of Yahush.
our Mashiach.
Our Mashiach.
We subdue ignorance
We subdue ignorance
with Torah knowledge.
with Torah knowledge.
And through this knowledge
And through this knowledge
of Torah truth,
of Torah truth,
we claim healing,
we claim healing,
shalom,
shalom,
deliverance,
deliverance,
and salvation.
and salvation.
We decree Torah truth
Torah truth
in the lives
in the lives
of your people,
of your
our people,
our people.
Yasharal.
Shalom.
We unite,
We unite.
not to fight,
Not to fight.
not to fight
Not to fight.
each other,
Each other.
each other,
Each other.
but the enemy,
But the enemy
of belief.
of our belief.
And it is so.
So,
I decree a time of rest, shalom, and truth in Yahuwah. So,
and it is so.
let us bow before our King as we seal this first portion of our class with the writings. Repeat with me. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you.
be desirable before you.
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you.
be desirable before you.
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
We have just recited to him 19:14, and it is so. You will be seated in his presence. We do appreciate him once again for this opportunity to be in your homes with you on this Shabbat, celebrating with you, and you celebrating with us a time of celebration, commemorating restoration and rest, a time to be restored and refreshed in our total man as we adhere to his instructions for our lives.
Yes.
We dare not take it lightly, but we do obey him. Because I don't know about you, but before I came in the truth, every Sabbath, I was in the streets. We would run up and down the street for money like we had money to spend. Like I say, driving, what's that saying?
Yeah, drive like so.
drive it like you stole it. You know, we spending it like we own it. And so we were out there and we would be running and running and running and spending and just investing in things that were not anywhere. But I do appreciate Yahuwah for bringing not just me, but my mishpachah into truth. That now on this Shabbat, not only are we refreshed, but also our finances are stable or stabilized. Somebody would say, "How is that so?" Because you have to understand, on the Sabbath is one of the days where the most money spent, because today is where most of your businesses are in operation full swing. They don't close some of them until 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. So they're making money, hand over fist. And the thing of it is, though, is that when we celebrate and commemorate the Shabbat, we pull our finances out of that way of life. So you have to understand, many things will not function correctly or because we don't do it. Now, I pray everybody is following and adhering that we don't supposed to cook. We're not supposed to spend money. You're actually supposed to stay at home and you're supposed to rest. You're not supposed to do any kind of business transactions on this day. I don't care if it is on the computer, that's still work. Right. So it's important that we understand we refrain from any type of work because this is that time to rest. And so with that rest comes a restoration, a rejuvenation where he rejuvenates us. And so that's one of the things that I appreciate about him, because I don't know about, sometimes some of our weeks can become very hectic. Yes. It can be real hectic. Hectic doesn't mean that it's a whole lot of turmoil. It just means that you got so much to accomplish, and with certain things popping up and things get in the way.
Right.
And so it's important that we understand what's taking place. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And so once again, when we pull our finances and our resources from this day, you have to understand it. Listen to me carefully. It cripples and it causes the economy to be unstable because we are not investing. You have to understand we're not investing. And so if we're not investing, and this is going to be another way that we get the attention of the nations and we get the attention of those that don't believe we are who we say we are.
Right.
See, because people know, believe it or not, your money that you hold, and this is not for this Yom, I just feel led to say this. The money that we hold and we don't spend on this day, watch this, it shows them that money is not being spent in places. And so people will begin to check and wonder what's going on. So it's an opportunity for you to use us. Well, I says we're cutting covenant and we're maintaining covenant, but it's also a way for him to use this to show the nations that we trust in our power and not in them.
That's right.
So once again, we understand all the stuff that's going on and understand we talk about the governmental shutdown and so forth and so on. But you have to understand we ain't out there running around on this day trying to buy and trying to work in order to monies to maintain. Right. We're at home. Watch this, max relaxing, because we are who's going to take care of us. So we're not going to break covenant, and we're definitely not going to break the spot, and we're not going to break anything that causes us to fall into the hands of power because he's angry with us. But this is a push towards people seeing that we believe in the power that we sing and we pray and talk about.
That's right.
This is another example. Because you have to understand, people that are scared will be getting 3 and 4 jobs and be breaking that. We ain't doing that. We're going to rest in his writing. And it is so.
And it is so.
Oh, now, we want to turn our attention to the scroll of Bereshit, chapter 23. And we want to continue on in there. Once again, it is amazing. No matter how many we go through, or I have gone, I constantly see something different than before. Excuse me. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We should always see something different. He should trust us. He should be able to trust us with new revelation. He ought to be able to trust us, open our eyes up to something else that's hidden in the word. No times we read it, we ought to be open to receive a new revelation on. Does it mean it removes or it makes the revelation in the beginning none effect or annuls it? Absolutely not. But what it does do, it comes to substantiate and to continually build upon what is already built. So it's important that we understand that. Shabbat is Chayei, Sarah, and it means the life of Sarah. Chayei, Sarah. It's life of Sarah. So we're going to look at life. Bereshit chapter 23, and you have to understand when we look at her life, one of the chapters that I believe is really emotional. Really emotional. It's because you're going to see the life, and like I told you in the beginning, we saw the beginning, the middle, and now we're getting ready to another part of their lives that should impact us greatly. Once again, how do we take it and relate it to our lives where we are easily? You look at what was done, what can be prevented from the same thing happening to us, or what can help us to obtain what they had. So it's important that we never overlook or under anything that is being presented to us, so that we can truly develop and learn from what our ancestors went through. Like I say, this those chapters that it's very emotional, especially when you if you are a parent or a stand-in parent. This is one that you should be able to identify when what I mean by that connection, relationship.
Right.
Life is, and we value everything that Abba gives to us. And one thing we have to be on guard. We have to stay focused so that the enemy doesn't take away from us what Abba Yahuwah has given unto us.
That's right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Chapter 23, and we're going to read. Let's read 8 verses. Let's begin with 8 verses, please.
Deuteronomy 23. I'm sorry, Bereshit 23 and 1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah carried Arba, that is Hebrew, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came home for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead, spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial, for you may bury your dead. Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the son. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and meet with Ephraim, son of Zohar, for me. And it is so.
And it is so. Go ahead and finish reading, because verse 1 goes with that. That's one whole verse.
Okay. That he may give me a cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the field. Let him give it to me at the full price as property for a burial place among you. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, now we're looking at the life of Sarah, and I'm going to read it in 2 places. And as I said before, I like to have for us to be able to see on both fronts. Now, in this it says, and the life of Sarah was, it says, the age of other women in the Bible is not given. Special attention is drawn to her death to connect it with the purchase of the cave of Machpelah. And since her death is mentioned, her age is also recorded. Now, another rendering, it gives us a little more clear text of why this was brought forth. It explains the nations, the many nations that will come out of Abraham will do and conquer their enemies. It says England and the U.S. are 2 separate nations. So, hold on, wait, there we go. I read the wrong one. All right. Sarah died from the grief of thinking that her son was perhaps to be used for a sacrifice, not knowing the full facts. Although Sarah loved Abraham, or Ahab, Abraham, her husband, still sometimes the most committed wives will question husband's motives because of fear and waiting upon Yahuwah to answer prayer. Now, she ended up dying. Why? Because of grief. And if you've read the book or the scroll of Yasher, you find out the whole story. It goes into great detail of how she was met by the way, while the enemy basically revealed himself to her as a man, an old man that came to her and was backwards and forth giving her different information. And don't say it was due to her age. She was able to carry a baby and bring forth that child. And Yahuwah is not unmindful. Body was able, but you have to understand something. We can either strengthen our hearts or we can make our hearts weak and feeble. You have to understand, thought is a powerful thing.
Yes, yes.
If your thoughts are not lining up with Torah and you think outside of that, you do more harm to yourself than any gun or bullet could ever, any bullet or any knife could ever do to you. Somebody say, well, what do you mean? What I mean is that it begins in your mind.
That's right.
This is sometimes we can apply self-affliction, afflict ourselves by what she got so engulfed and caught with what was told her that she forgot the promises that Yahuwah had given to her. And I want to use this to kind of put us in this mind. Many times we go through illnesses. Time we are especially women. I don't discount men, but I know women. We go through different things in our bodies, and going through these in our bodies. If we are not careful how we think, we will continue to add worry. We will continue to add these things, and if you add these things, all it does is piles up, adds up. It adds up, and it up is just like a snowball effect. As that snowball begins to roll, that's why when avalanches, and it starts a little bit of snow. By the time it gets down there, half of the mountain doesn't come down because the effect of that little piece rolling, it accumulates. And so when we accumulate these things to the Torah, and you have to remember and rehearse his promises daily.
Yes.
Because if we do not do this, what happens is the enemy will use this very thing to destroy us. Fear tactics. And this is how he got her, with fear.
That's right.
Because she believed this. Now you have to understand something. You have to go back where the promise was made. Remember when the Malak came and they began to talk to Abraham. And they began to talk to him when they were getting ready to destroy Sodom and Amorah. And when he spoke to him and told him that she was going to conceive and bring forth a child. Remember, it wasn't that she was oblivious to the promises. It's just, do you receive the promises? Right. If he says that we are healed, then we are what? Healed. Right. You just wait for the what? Manifestation. Yeah, that's right. But you can't allow your mind and can't allow what you feel, even what you see, contradict what his promises have promised us. Right. Because if you do, then what happens? Instead of working with Yahuwah and his promises, you work against them. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's very important that we understand that. And the reason I'm saying that is because, once again, you can't be cheated out of what Abba Yahuwah has given to you. That's right. What he has promised to you. And so she finds this is what ends up happening once again, because she allowed the enemy to continue to be backwards and forth with her, engaging with her about the life of her son. Now, mind you, this is the only son she had. She had him when she was old. And now she is afraid that he's going to be taken away. Let me tell you something. Fear is a killer. And it is a killer, a physical killer. Fear has tormenting. She was tormented. And you have to be careful, like I said, what you think and what you allow to get into your think tank. That's right. Because if you let negative things get in your think tank, it doesn't promote health. It promotes the decrease of your health. That's right. It causes it to go downward instead of going up. And so it's important that we understand that. Now, the years of the life of Sarah, they were all alike in greatness. Sarah died after Rebekah, who was fit to replace her, was born. Since one righteous person, listen at this, does not die before another is born. Once again, this is the mentality that many of people have and have had. Are y'all following me? This
Yes.
is almost sound like movies. If you've ever watched movies and you are a movie connoisseur, it's always the movies when you see us in it. We can never be in groups. We all have to die.
Right.
One cannot live, are y'all following me? And the other be there with them. It always has to be one. That mindset is not right. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That's not the right mindset. You have to understand, whatever Yahuwah does a thing, he does it in a great way.
That's right.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So once again, she was cheated out of life because she allowed the enemy to do what? She allowed the enemy to play on the fear that was already there. The enemy can't build on what's not there. It's just like building a house. Unless there's a foundation, it can't be built, right?
Right.
That means there had to be something there for the enemy to build upon.
Right.
You have to tell him when he come around you with all that kind of stuff. Shut up. Dismiss yourself from me. I rebuke you. Are you hearing me?
Yes. Yes.
In the mighty name of Yahushua Mashiach, I rebuke you.
Yes.
You have no place in my life. I refuse to listen to your foolishness. And this is where the Torah has to come up and lift up a standard. If not, we will be walking around delirious and delusional because of fear. Fear hath torment, and it'll torment you to death.
That's right. Right.
And this is what ended up happening to her. And what it does, it breaks away, it destroys your life.
That's right.
Kiryat Arba, the name which means the city of four, was derived from four giants who lived there: Ahiman, Telma, Chayei, and their Abba. Numbers 13 and 22. Others associate the name with the four couples buried there: Adam and Hawa, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and Yaakov and Leah. The Arab was the name of one of the giants of that city. Abraham came from Beersheba. It points out this is not to be regarded as a deduction from 22 and 19. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba because Sarah also would have lived and died there. Rather must it be understood that they were living in Hebron, and Abraham had gone to Beersheba for some purposes. Now I read it from here. And it says, and so Abraham came to mourn does not necessarily imply that he made a journey, but the phrase is an idiomatic. Now let's look over here. Once again, let's look at this as we're looking at verse 1. I'm sorry. We're still in verse 1, looking at her life and that what surrounded her death. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Now it is this is what is said here concerning her death. It says, note, it is not advisable to communicate everything of Yahuwah with your spouse immediately. There has to be a time of prayer and then exercising wisdom to communicate such matters, which I can understand that. In other words, that person has to be mature enough and ready to receive what it is that the Abba desires to do. Because you have to understand, there are things that he may tell you to do, but you got to pray so that you and your spouse be what? In agreement. There has to be an agreement. If there is not an agreement, we see what can happen. Because the enemy will come to the one that he think is the weakest, and if it proves to be right, then what happens? You're gonna see a tragedy, and this is what we see. Now, somebody would say, "But if it's already predestinated, then how can it be changed?" You have to understand, we have a will.
That's right.
We have a will.
That's right.
It was predestined that a Adam and a Hawa would be in the garden, but they messed that up. Did Abba Yahuwah know it? Yes, he did. Did it stop him from bringing forth and speaking what he needed to speak? Absolutely not. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It is important that we understand that. And it is important that we follow that and we not allow that to be stripped from us. Because then we'll be trying to second guess Abba Yahuwah and do things that are not in his will. So once again, this is what is important. If you are in a relationship and you are married, it is very important that when Abba Yahuwah gives you a task and it involves something that you know that your mate, and this is where it comes to knowing who you are with, is not ready, it is still important that you do not leave them out of the loop, but you pray for the wisdom on how to convey what it is that he desires to do.
That's right.
That way you do what? You cover the whole city and you don't leave it open for the enemy to come in and bring about tragedy.
That's right.
It's very important that we understand that. All right. Now, we're looking at verse 2. Still verse 1. And I want to bring this out in here. To weep. The kaf is a small letter here indicating the word baka, to weep. If we have that word in there, to weep in our Bibles or in our writings. This means Abraham had an open palm in front of Yahuwah and was weeping for his wife Sarah and wanted her back, but this could not be granted. Why couldn't it be granted? Because when she passed or when she expired because of grief. Are you following me? Yes. Now understand, Abba Yahuwah is not limited in bringing forth and doing what it is he needs to do.
That's right.
But this was one of the things that was not in his will to do. So he did not. But his position is that they saw him with his hands open while he was in time of mourning. And so once again, but this could not be granted. Now, listen at this in verse 9. The cave is the burial place for the patriarchs and is in Yasharal or in Hebron. This Yom where many Ibram people go to pray. Now, it's very important that we understand what's taking place here. In verse 9, that he may give me the cave of which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price as property for a burial place among you. Anytime it comes to business, and you're talking about something of this caliber and something this delicate, it is important that you have what? Ownership.
Yes.
Ownership. Very important. So when the time comes, you don't have to worry about anybody striving or fighting against you to take away what belongs to you. Right. Now, mind you, when it says you can bury them anywhere, he didn't want to bury them just anywhere. He wanted to bury them in a specific place that belonged to them. Are you following me?
Yes.
This is where we look at business practices here. Whenever you are doing business, it's best that especially the type of business you're doing, that you make sure that it is always in your best interest and in your hands and not left in the hands of the other person. See, because if they go ahead on and die and that word is not transferred and that word is not spoken over and over again, now guess what? You're going to have some problems. Why? Because if you don't have it in writing, you don't have a purchase of it, you're going to have problems. Right. Because now you're going to have people fighting you over what's yours. Why? Because that agreement might have been with just between you and that individual. But that agreement needs to be known by everybody that occupies that land or somewhere near that land. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Once again, this is teaching us business ethics and practices. Whenever you're dealing with anything, like I say, and it comes to being able to go back, or your generation or your people have to go back, it is important that you have ownership of it and you have rights to it. So whenever something comes about, say, no, we have rights to this. This belongs to me. Why? Because I purchased it for this specific reason. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's very important for us to understand it. And this keeps the enemy from getting in and causing all kinds of problems. Are you hearing me? Now, according to what he paid, now we're going to look at what he paid for it. And we're going to look at, once again, he didn't make payments on it. I say this and I laugh about it because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be debt free. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Debt free. When you are debt free, you owe nobody. And somebody said, but as long as you have bills, as long as you live, no, that you can't really live debt free even in the land of our enemies.
Sure.
You could be debt free. It's working it and getting it to where you can perfect it. You have to understand, you want to pay for everything right out. You don't want to have to make payments. Are you following me? You want to be able to pay for everything, because once you pay for it, you can move on to something else. You ain't got to worry about the rest of it coming back. Well, this month I got to pay this. Next month I got to pay it again. Next month I got to pay this. No, you want to make sure you deal with it and it's so and get it out the way. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right, let's read 10 to 18.
Verse 10, Ephraim was sitting among the Hittites. So in the presence of all the Hittites who came to the gate of this city, Ephraim the Hittite answered Abraham, No, my sovereign one, listen to me. I give you the field and I give you the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. Bury your dead. Abraham bowed down to the people of the land and said to Ephraim in the presence of the people of the land, Please listen to me. Let me pay the price for the field, accept it from here, and let me bury my dead there. Ephraim answered Abraham and said to him, Master, listen to me. Land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham agreed with Ephraim, and Abraham weighed out to Ephraim the silver they had agreed to in the presence of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver at the current commercial rate. So Ephraim's field at Machpelah near Mamre, the field with its cave and all the trees anywhere within the boundaries of the field, became Abraham's possession in the presence of all the Hittites who came to the gate of the city. And it is so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, once again, very important business practices. Are you following me? Very important. Now, once again, they go back into, I won't say haggling, but this is what you call negotiating. They're at the table and they're negotiating. Now, you have to understand, he says, sell it to me for the full price. He doesn't want to get it for half price. He wants to pay it. So watch this. In the generations to come, Abraham negotiates for the long term. If he had been willing to accept the land on a grant basis, the land could have been reclaimed in later generations or in hard times. In contrast, Abraham wants to acquire an inheritable estate. In other words, you don't want to have to worry about while you gone, because you won't be worried about it because you gone. But before you leave, you don't want to be wondering, okay, now what if something happened and I want my people to be here and this takes place? This is why it is important. Once again, how do we relate to this in our day and time? Once again, get that land. Acquire that land. Many times we believe that it is a hard thing. It is not a hard thing. Once again, you got to remember, who do we serve and what is important to us? Purchasing that land so that you have something that you can basically have tangible to give to your children if and when Yahuwah decides to take you away. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
This is important to us as a people. Very important to us as a people, because you want to have something. And so this is why he wanted to make sure, and we have to make sure as well, once again, what is important to us, what is worth investing in. And he knew that this was worth investing in. Now, let's look at this. Now, in verse 15, he says, my master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. You know, because you got to understand, he said between me and you. But Abraham is looking long term. We can't just look at what's before us. We got to look at long term. Somebody say long term.
Long term.
You got to look at long term. Now, listen what it says. 400 shekels is a significant amount of money. It equals about 7.5 pounds of silver, but its value can be assessed by the fact that the average wage was 10 shekel per year. Now, 10 shekel per year, you see what I'm saying? Now, if he paid 400, Abraham weighed out the silver, it was 400 shekel of silver. Now, if you do 400, if it's 10, if the wages is 10 shekels per year, you understand how many years he paid that up for? He paid that. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you do the math, that's some years.
Right.
Huh? 40 years. That's a decent amount of time. 10, he said, look, I'm going to pay this up and we're going to make sure this is done. Now, mind you, he already knows that Isaac is going to be able to handle that after that. 40 years is enough time for you to get your stuff straight. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
That's enough for you to build, do what you do, add on, take down, add on, do whatever. But he made it to where his people would never have to worry about this. Now, understand, even if we get in a squabble, I still own the rights. Why? Because I paid for it.
That's right.
Very important for us to understand that. Now, he paid it. Now, once again, having said this, it is still, not determined whether the price is fair. But because he did want this parcel of land, it is important that we understand that he paid it because he knew what he wanted it for. And because, watch this, he didn't want to go on a grant basis or pay like we do with vehicles sometime, mortgages, and so forth and so on. And so we tend to want these things. I learned this years ago from a person. And when you really trying to do stuff, you don't like to hear people say the reason why you have to make payments on it is because you can't afford it, which is the truth. It's not a lie. It is the truth. Why do we have to stretch out payments? Because we can't afford to pay for it right out. Now, the problem comes in is that when you have to pay that high interest rate. Now, follow me with this. You're paying, some of us end up paying 28, some of us end up paying 5, depending on what your credit is. All credit is you having a great relationship with the bank because they know you're going to pay that plus your interest rates, which is all a racket. The bottom line is pay for it. Sometime, and many people may not agree with this, and I don't say settle for anything, but you might have to, when it comes time to purchasing something you want, you might have to wait for it to come down before you can buy it.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Why? Because the person that gets the fat pockets when it's all said and done is the bank, because you have to go through the bank to get what you want. But if you save up and buy it outright, you move everybody out the way. You move the middleman out the way. Right. So therefore you can enjoy it and you don't have to worry about paying all them high prices. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Once again, this is teaching us how to be business savvy, as well as teaching us not to allow the enemy to come in and blindside us with fear.
That's right.
So he understood, no, I'm going to pay for this. And this should be our goal, to pay for everything we get.
That's right.
Somebody say, but I can't. Yes, you can. Like I say, I've learned this. Somebody said, well, I really don't have a garden. I don't have a plot of land. You want to be a wise steward, and you want to show Yahuwah that you could be trusted. As I said before, Dollar Tree, Walmart, Kmart, they got all kind of land you can buy. Buy it, put it in a pot, and cultivate it, and show him that you can tend to the seed you put in the ground and be committed to that, and watch him trust you with more. Something, people look at that as being simple, but you have to understand, you want to own it, show him that you're responsible enough to tend to it and do what you need to do. I said it and I'll say it again. When we were in Christianity, we could not buy a popsicle stick. We couldn't buy anything. We could not buy it. It's like we were living in this world where everybody around us could buy whatever they wanted. They could have whatever they wanted. You're thinking, how in the world can they buy this? And I'm looking at their lives and I'm like, I'm doing everything I know how. Right. But we could not acquire it. But the moment we start walking in truth, showing that we could be trusted, showing that he could trust us with land to do right by it. So once again, it's important that we understand there is a method and there are prerequisites. And so it's important that we follow those so that we're able to have the things that he desires for us to have. Now, once again, you can have it. There is no such thing I can't have and I can't acquire. Right. It's just, are you willing to do what it takes to get it? That's very important for us to understand. And so, once again, he wanted to make sure that he had it and that it was his and for the generations to come. Are you following me? Now, mind you, these very deeds and these very purchases are recorded, not just for us to read and say, oh, that was nice. Baby, let me tell you something. This still stands even today. That land belongs to us because it was purchased upright and it was purchased rightfully. And when it comes time for these deals to be settled, you watch. Yahuwah is going to do it. You have to understand he does things in a right manner. And so it's important that there are some things you must put money on it. It has to be a contract. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. Now listen at verse 17. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the Etzah that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were accounted for unto Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth before all who went in at the gate of his city. So everybody knew. Now understand, nobody had an excuse or a reason unless you just let the devil get in you to not understand what had just taken place. That meant you had to pass it down. Well, whose is that? Oh, that's theirs. Who's that? That everybody knew. So it was no secret. Very important. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. All right, let's read. We're going to read starting at 19 and 20, and we're going to read all the way into 24. And we're going to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to verse 6.
8 verses.
Mm-hmm.
Bereshit chapter 23, starting at verse 19. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife, his Isha, in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, that is Hebron in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahuwah had bereaved Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yahuwah the power of the Shemaim and the power of the Arez, that you do not take an Isha for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but to go to my land and to my relatives and take an Isha for my son Yitzhak. And the servant said to him, what if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, beware lest you take my son back there.
And so beware. Now, once again, we're still looking at principle and we're looking at instruction. Now, something that is important to understand. Now, after this, Abraham buried his Isha in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, that is Hebron in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded. Were what? Deeded. That meant he had legal right to it and nobody else could come and try to take it. Now, we understand the fighting and all that. But when something is deeded and something is in writing, it makes it stick. Because there is a what? Record of it. Mm-hmm. There's a record of it. And so this is important for us to understand. And now Abraham is ready now to move forward with other things. You cannot, when you can't, in other words, we got to make sure everything we do, we have our affairs in line. Mm-hmm. Now it says, and so it was deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial place. It was his. So now he's ready to move to another phase. I won't say phase 2 because he's been doing things in chapter 24. Now, Abraham was old, well advanced in age. He was already well in age, but we know now he's really well up in age. But he's not senile. Are you hearing me? Yes. Physically, he's probably at a point he's still able to do, but now there are other things. Now, you have to understand this is important because you got to have people in your life that you can trust.
Right.
And Yahuwah had Baruch Abraham in all things. So Abraham said to the elder servant of his bed who ruled over all that he had, please put your hand under my thigh. Now you have to understand something. This is a servant who ruled over everything that he had. It wasn't that he was family, but he was a servant. Right. It is important that we understand when you have people in your corner, when you have people a part of your entourage, a part of your covenant, you need to make sure you can trust these people to rule over your stuff. Not that you are incompetent, but you understand, I need to make sure I got some folk that I can trust because there's other things that I'm in the process of doing. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, it's important we understand this, what is taking place. Now, he says, please put your hand under my thigh. Now, it's important we understand the importance of this. This is not no freaky stuff. This is not homosexuality. This is him, and this is Eleazar. And he is telling him to do this. Now, he says the explanation of this is when you put your hand on the reproductive organs as a custom in ancient times to say, if you do not do what you say, may your descendants perish. Now, you have to understand the importance importance of this and the ramification of this. You just don't tell a man to put his hand on your reproductive organs. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Especially not in this time of day. Because one or two things, either you're going to get your head blown off or you're going to get something else.
Right.
Or they're going to be trying to do something else. But you have to understand, he understood him because he groomed him for such a time as that.
Yes.
He made him prepared and ready. And so this was the custom. And he realized, now understand, he knew that if he did this and he lied, what would take place? It is also the area of circumcision. So this shows respect to the covenant. The testicular area in the area of the man's seed. So this was considered important. They said some people in India and Ethiopia still take oaths like this because he understood, look, the greatest thing, now listen to me when I say this, to us as a people, and especially men, and I say this to you, those of you that are listening and will listen, your lineage, your seed, that what comes after you, and even while you are here, is important. And if we as a people and brothers would step up and continue to take that as a great regard, are you following me?
Yes.
A lot of things wouldn't take place.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. A lot of things would not take place.
That's right.
Now, I didn't say you in somebody else's house. I said you in your own house. Are y'all following me? Because you're only responsible for your own house. Now, understand what I mean by that. You have to take care of your house before you can take care of anybody else's.
That's right.
That's important. You have to be the one that takes care of that. Now, understand once again, you didn't play with that.
Right.
When somebody asked you to do that and they did it because they understood, I'm going to do it. Why? Because I'm a person of integrity.
Right.
You could trust me. I ain't got a problem with it. I will put my hand there. No foul stuff, because I believe in just what you say. Why? Because I've watched your life long enough to know and to see that when Yahuwah decrees a thing for you, it shall be done.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
It shall be done. And so this is important for us as a people. Now, once again, what am I really trying to convey here? I am saying to us as a people, let your word be foundational. Let it be that even if you are never asked to lay your hands on another man's testicles, but he could trust you. He could trust you over his possessions. He could trust you over his family. But above all, he could trust you with your own because you value your own more than you value anybody else's. So you're not going to cross that line. Are you following me?
Yes.
And when you're asked to do something, you're going to do it. Nowadays, you start trying to send somebody, okay, go find my bin issue. Where you gonna go? You start looking at who you gonna ask to do that. Are you following me? Some of you ask somebody, say, can you help me find this? Because you go look at what they're doing. You be like, no, I'm great.
Right.
I don't need you finding nothing for me.
Right.
I can do it myself. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now you have to understand this is what now because Sarah is gone. He has to do this. So he has to take this place. Are you following me?
Yes.
But when you're finding somebody, it is important that we understand this. Once again, we're seeing these things manifest themselves. And once again, how do we relate to that in our day and time? Very important that we understand relationship and we understand the purpose of relationship. He said, please do not get her from this place. He lived among the people. Now, this is the thing here. Why would you go to the world system? We live here, but we're not of the world. And choose somebody for yourself that's in the world. Now, this goes with both. Whether you are a male or whether you are a female. Just because a suitor comes to you doesn't mean you have to take him if he's of the world. Just because you see this person and you think, wow, this person is it, means you have to go and get them. Remember, he said, don't get nobody from this place. He dwelt with them. He knew they were idol worshipers. He knew they weren't living in truth. But you got those that believe that they are qualified to go and get people out of the world, bring them in, clean them up, and then marry them. He said, no, don't go get these people. Once again, you have to understand culture. We trying to get people and you trying to grab folk and you trying to clean them up. That's just like, once again, trying to clean up turkey. Let me tell y'all something. We don't eat turkey because it's not kosher. It's not. And everybody want to fight chicken, ain't either. Chicken, You know what line it comes through. And it's the same way with turkey. Turkeys are vultures. Look at their heads. Everything on a turkey, hair or feathers grow. I'm gonna say hair. Feathers grow on a turkey, but it won't grow on the head because they eat dead stuff. Now you can domesticate them, but you can't change them.
That's right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
It is in their DNA. It is in their nature to do that, and their head shows it. So it's not. They're not going to change. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Now, and the thing of it is, he knew these people were idolatrous and would turn away Isaac's heart. Why would you go and grab a person out in the world? Are you following me?
Yes.
Our ancestors got in trouble for that because they began to mingle. And we be thinking, many of us that, we can get them and, we bring them into class. Yeah, they might be walking with you with that just for a season until they get you. Then when they get you, that's when you start seeing the true them come out. Are you hearing me? Anybody ever seen, was that movie, Gremlins? He said, don't feed them after 12 and don't get them wet. And sure enough, we went to go see that movie younger. And sure enough, he got wet. And when he got wet, you should have seen the hideous things that were birthed out of that thing. They want to make it like it was so cute. It wasn't cute, it was ugly. Little brown, bug-eyed little demon. But when it got wet, you start seeing the real manifestation of that which was birthed out of it. And so it's important that we understand, don't go to the world. It's enough of people walking in truth. They may need maturing. Pray for their maturity. Pray for them. And then you got to understand something to do. Now, understand what I'm about to say and don't get mad at me and don't come throwing those stones at me. We are a Yapa people by just naturally. You don't want to be a turnoff by the way you present yourself. Are you following me?
Yes.
Understand what I'm saying? I'm not telling anybody, excuse me, to be somebody that you are not. But nowhere does it say as women, we can't beautify ourselves. They go through, or they will go through 6 months beautifying rituals, bathing in oils, bathing in flowers, preparing themselves, making sure that when they were presented, they were presentable. Now we're in truth. You don't have to stop being Yapa, beautiful.
That's right.
We understand, you don't wear makeup because you're trying to allure people. You do it if you want to because it enhances who you are. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important. And then we wonder sometimes why brothers are turned off. And I ain't saying go out there and look like no hoochie either, because do not even go there. Half dressed and you out there looking like something that should be posted up on a corner. That is not what I am saying. But what I am saying is a rose no matter where you pull it. No matter where you pick it and put it, it is still going to be a rose. And we are the roses. We are beautiful. No, I won't say roses. I'll say carnations because a rose was created. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
By man. But we are gorgeous. We are people. We know who we are. We are confident. Confidence makes you beautiful too. Your confidence, not in yourself, but in Abba Yahuwah, which makes you beautiful. But you don't have to walk around, and understand, I enjoy wearing wraps, but I watch how I look too.
Right.
With my wraps to make sure my wraps look nice. I'm serious.
Right.
Because we are not trying to adapt the old way to where they made our people look thrown away. And that's the truth. We don't have to. You want to be attractive. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
You want to be attractive. I didn't say you want to be provocative. I said attractive. Be able to make the man you're with smile. You want to make the issue you're with smile. You want them to be able to look at you and say, that's mine. And I am thankful to go home with that one. Are you following me?
Yes.
Yes.
There is no sin in that. None whatsoever. None. But you have women that have been taught and made feel that, I gotta look like I'm suffering. I gotta, I can't really look like who I am. No, that ain't how this works here. Are you following me? And I ain't saying you gotta come out there either and you look like you done slid into some makeup. You got it so plastered on that they can't really see your natural beauty. I'm saying if you do wear makeup, you're supposed to wear it. It's not supposed to wear you.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And that's important for us to understand. I understand everybody's not going to like it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand something. And everybody doesn't wear it. Everybody doesn't need it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Some of us wear it to enhance our beauties. And some people wear it because they like to. I like wearing it. And so there's no crime in that. Now, if I was up here doing something wrong, there's the crime. And you can't throw Jezebel in there because Jezebel it wasn't her makeup, it was her deeds that got her in trouble. Remember, she was a prophetess of Baal.
That's right.
And she was killing the prophets and she was changing their hearts from Yahuwah to worship idols.
That's right.
That's what she was doing. Had nothing to do with her makeup. So it's important that we get these things straight, get our truth straight.
Right.
And so understand, but you want to be attractive. And that is important. Like I said, you don't have to live like that, but he had to trust him. He didn't want him with those women of Canaan, Canaanite women. He said, do not get these women. Go get my son somebody from home. In other words, of our culture.
That's right.
Because that's the one that's going to be able to identify. That's the one that's going to be able to do and walk with you. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now he says, and swear by Yahuwah, verse 3, the power of Shemayim and the power of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. I dwell among these people. They are idolatrous and they will turn his heart. He had enough sense to know they ain't gonna do right. You cannot grab them people out of there. Right. And this is where, once again, this is where arrogance comes in. This is where pride and where people become pompous in. Well, I'm gonna grab me one, and I'm gonna walk them in truth. And you start thinking, while you thinking you playing them, they playing you.
Right.
They playing you. Because you should never establish a relationship with somebody that's not in truth and then try to bring them in truth. Because when it's all said and done, they're gonna turn right back around and use that against you. They're going to use it against you. Verse 4, but you shall go to my land, to my mishpachah, and take a issue for my son Isaac. And the servant said to him, perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me to this country. Must I take your son back to the land from which you came? And he says to him, beware that you do not take my son back there. It's almost like, look, you didn't went from bad to worse. I've already told you, if I'm telling you not to get him from here, do not take them back that way. Are you following me?
Yes.
So it's important that we understand he established where he wanted his son to grab his issue from. It's important as parents that we do the same thing. You don't want your children just getting involved with just anybody. Are you following? You want somebody that truly Habs Yahuwah, and they'll be willing to tell you, look, you don't mess up if you want to. You be by yourself. Mess up if you want to. Right. I ain't got time to be messing up on Yahuwah. You better understand he first and foremost in my life. He is number one. And if you can't do right, then you keep it moving. Right. You want somebody that's going to challenge you to stay right and to do right.
That's right.
Are you following me? And if they see you acting off, they're going to say, no. What's wrong with you? Right. Straighten your back up. Come on, pull them boots up. Let's do this. You got to do right. Are you following me? Yeah. It's important that we understand that we have that person because you're building a life with this person.
That's right.
And it is important that you understand that out of your union is going to come what? The offspring, the descendants, the inheritors of that which was bought and paid for. And you don't want to be mingling and bringing anybody in there. Are you following me?
Yes.
You definitely don't want that. So it's important that we understand that. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's read. We're reading, start at verse 7. All right, let's read. Let's start at verse 7. 8 verses again, please.
Yahuwah of Shemayim, which took me from my Abba's house, and from the land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that sware unto me, saying,
Unto thy seed I give this land. I shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take an Isha unto my son from thence. And if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then shalt be clear from this my oath, and only bring not my son thither again. And thy servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and sware to him concerning that matter. And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master, and departed for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose, and went into Mesopotamia, unto the city of Nahor. And he made his camels to kneel down with the city by a well of water at the time of the evening. Even in that time, women go out to draw water. And he said, O Yahuwah my power, master of Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And he let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down that pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink, and she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac. And thereby shall I know that thou hast shown kindness unto my master.
Excuse me.
14. And it is so.
And it is so. All right. You read 8 from verse 7? Okay. Very important. Yahuwah Shemayim, who took me from the Abba's house and from the land of my Mishpachah, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to your descendants. Now understand why it is important that this is maintained and this is always rehearsed in our hearing before you get ready to go in any type of relationships or whatever continuing relationships that you're in. Listen, once again, verse 7 is very important for us as a people. Once again, I know people don't like it because people like to go out on a limb and people like to do stuff because they don't want nobody to tell them nothing. But the importance of understanding this and how we relate to it in our day and time, verse 7 is very important. Yahuwah power Shemai, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to my descendants, or he said, to your descendants, I give this land. This is important. Now, this is why you have to understand, he did not want to mingle with those people. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's just like buying a house and the people you buy it from still want to linger there.
Right.
You don't want to do that. And he's saying to them, he said, he will send his malak before you, and you shall take an issue for my son from there. He understood the importance of marrying, causing his son to marry somebody that would walk in line and that this would support the inheritance. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Anybody outside of that goes against that. And now it makes it a fight because now, once again, and this is why people get talking about mixed marriages, talking about Yahuwah is fine with it. No, he's not.
Right.
He's never been fine with it. How do you go in and say, well, this half is going to get that and that other half is going to get that? That's not how it works. This is still about inheritance, and you got to understand there are still legal matters that follow it.
Right.
You marrying somebody that's not a part of the promise. And now watch this. Anytime there is a marriage agreement, unless there are prenuptials signed, whatever is between the both of them, if one dies and even if one divorces, whatever they have has to be split down the middle. Now, if you have property and now you got to go, and now the judge says, because look, we don't go before our judges, you end up going before a judge that the government has set up. And now you have to go before that judge, and now they have to basically judge, and they have to be the ones that determine what you all get and what is a fair share. Now, just say in a situation, you marry somebody that's not even a part of covenant or culture outside of your culture, which, like I said, I know it's not popular and people don't like it, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
and you married this person. And now when it comes time to dividing the land, you get your portion, but now you got to bring this person in. Now watch this. What if that person says, I don't want the land. I want to sell my part. Are you hearing me? Or I want the land, but I want to bring my people with me. I want to bring cousin them and mom and them and bruh and them, and you bringing all of them on here. That's not a part of this. Now you are starting out over again with what could have been alleviated if you would not have strayed and just kept it, or you get disinherited. Are you following me? Yes. So you have to understand that the you don't want to create a problem. We already have issues. Why make them bigger? Are y'all following me? Yes. And this is what was happening. He set the credence and the foundation, and he set the prerequisites, and he set these things for us to follow it so we would know. And everybody say, I'm not talking about just the color of your skin. Melanated folk, and they are not Hebrew. We definitely know people that ain't melanated, ain't it? Are y'all following me? Yes. But the problem comes in is that people think you're just talking about that, but you know the people that don't have melanin, that's all already understood. So don't even try to play coy. But for the ones that we know, I'm not just talking about those that are heavy melanin. I'm talking about the ones you know their life, you've watched their life, you know about them. Are you following me? Yes. This is why it's best to get to know people. Are y'all following me? Yes. Very important. Now, once again, he understood and he said, look, this has to be done. Now, you can imagine what possibly, we don't know what was going on in Abraham's mind, but let's just kind of look at it for a little bit. Now, you have to understand, he said, look, I'm well up in age, but I need to make sure that what he's going to get, that he's not going to inherit a struggle and a fight. He can't do that. Then I don't want him with somebody that's going to turn him away from what Yahuwah has given me to give to him, because through him, nations are going to be baruched as well and brought forth. So you have to understand, you can't forget the purpose of these things. Right. That's important. Verse 8, and if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be released. He said, look, we ain't going to beat her and we ain't going to drag her. This ain't no caveman thing. But you will be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there. In other words, he's telling him, he's trying to get him to get out of the mindset of making excuses. He already knew what the Abba had in store. It says, now just cooperate and work with me. He ain't going to bring us out there and have us looking foolish. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So the servant went back through, put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. So it shows us at one point, before he could walk in total agreement with it, he pulled his hand out. It's almost like, okay, hold up now. Let's get this right now. And you want to make sure, because you don't want to just say, okay. You don't want to just say, and it is so, and you don't get the full matter, and you haven't come to the full conclusion of this thing. He had to remove his hand. And then this is where you see the conversation, and he's saying this. And now that Abraham is able to assure him, are you following me? Because you can convince people, but if they're not assured, convincing them is only going to be temporarily. But he assured him this is going to work. But if it doesn't, you are free of it. He said, okay, this is better. These are under better conditions. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed. For all his master's great possessions were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. Now you have to understand, for them to have camels meant that they had wealth. Are you following me? And so once again, it's important. Now, the biblical text portrays camels being used for long distance travel in a number of places. In Bereshit, the evidence for camels domesticated, it says here is somewhat sketchy. It says, but this person gives a listing of the data, zoological, textual, and iconographic from the period between 2000 and 1200 BC. Now, so they're saying it's possible, but then they're saying it's a possibility there were no camels. Are you hearing me? But camels were used for long distances. Are y'all following me? Yeah. And so that's one of the things we need to look at. Now, they get here, And this is important, like I say, for their travels. They had to have something to carry the stuff. And then they had to have something, not just to carry it, but also that could endure a long distance. Are you hearing me? Now, Nacor, it says, and he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a well of Mayim at evening time, the time when women go out to draw Mayim, water, Mayim. And so he knew what time, because he had mapped it out. This is important. He just didn't go there willy-nilly, but he had a plan. Are you following me?
Yes.
He had a plan. You always have to have a plan. You can't never go somewhere without a plan. Are you following me?
Yes.
When you leave, even if you just go to the gas station or grocery store, you got to have a plan. It's important, but he had a plan and he knew what to do. And so he had set the stage for it to be successful. But then remember, Abraham also prayed and asked Abba Yahuwah to lead and guide him and make his trip and his affairs successful. It's important that no matter what you do, you begin with prayer, you seed it with prayer, and you conclude it with prayer.
Right.
You can't fail. You always succeed if these things are done. And it is so.
And it is.
All right, come on, let's read beginning at verse 12. Chapter 24, verse 12. I read to verse 11.
And he said, O Yahuwah, my power, my master of Abraham, I pray thee, send me great speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel whom I shall say, let down the pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink. And I will give the camels drink also. But the same be she that hath appointed for the servant Isaac. And therefore shall I know that thou hast shown kindness unto my master. And it came to pass, before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, to Isha of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well, and filled her pitcher, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her, and said, Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, Drink. My power, she hath hasted, and let down her pitcher upon her hand, and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for the camels also, until they have done drinking. And it is.
And it is so. Very important that we understand why this was put out there. Was this a test? Not so much a test, but you just have to understand what's in a person is going to come out.
Right.
And she had to be fitting and qualified to be a part of the house of Abraham. Because you got to remember, she's part of the building blocks to the nations that will proceed from him. And if you give somebody stingy and frugal and don't want to do nothing, you in trouble. Are you following me?
Yeah.
That she was, and then she had to use wisdom also. And how do you give? Now watch what is taking place here. Once again, very important. She said he's asked for water. She gives it to him, and it says in verse 14 also says, now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your pitcher that I may drink, and she says, drink. I will also give your camels to drink. Let her be the one, because hospitality just doesn't stop because of the task.
That's right.
So it wasn't anything hard. You start thinking, okay, give him something. Then you say, okay, now you get your own water. You drink, you draw water for your own camels, because you asking me to do a lot. Because mind you, I'm here because I got to give my own animals something to drink. Are you following me?
Yes.
But the thing of it is, so it's important that we understand what's taking place. Now, one who asks must be moderate in his request, but the person responding should go beyond it and offer all that is needed. So you don't stop. You continue till the need is met. Excuse me. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed. A woman who displays hospitality and kindness is fit to enter Abraham's house. Eleazar did not make this a sign whereby he might recognize Isaac's destined issue, because that would savor a divination, but he prayed that it might fall out so. This would be, in other words, that it would show that she was taught the right way and she will be suitable for Isaac. In other words, it's not just something she's just doing, but this is in her to do.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? It's a part of her character.
Right.
It is what she does and how she grooms or carries herself. That's important, because you got people that'll fake the funk.
Right.
Yeah, they will. They'll fake it and until they get in there, and then when they get in there, you be like, I married a monster. This is a monster. Frankenstein monster. And you start wondering, where did this person come from? Where are these people? What is this person?
Right.
Because they were able to do this. And so when he asked her, it was just in her nature, in her to ask. Can I also give water to your camels? Are you following me?
Yes.
You want people to go their own way. It's almost like cooking dinner. Well, I'm gonna fix. Okay, we're gonna have can't beat fried chicken. Everybody can fried chicken. We're gonna have fried chicken. Yeah, well, some people can't cook it all. I hope.
Sorry.
Right, and some people can. But everybody in this bed can cook. But it's like you cook, you fry the chicken, and that's all you serve. You don't add the side dishes.
Right.
Well, you didn't ask me to do side dishes. I shouldn't have to ask you to do side dishes. Are you follow me?
Right.
You don't want to just have meat. Give me some vegetables. And so it's important. Give me a hot cup of tea when you finish. Drink cold tea or room temperature tea. Are you following me?
Yes.
You want to make it like, I'm showing you hospitality. I'm adding. I don't want it just to be, we're going to eat. This all we get, meat? Well, you didn't ask me to fix anything else. I shouldn't have to ask you to fix anything else. It should be a part of you to want it what? Complete.
That's right.
Finish it. That's important. And that was the criteria. That thou hast shown kindness unto my master. If she is both of his mishpachah and also proves herself fitting in accordance with this task. Like I said, because people can fool you.
Right.
People can be one way 1 minute, and then when you get with them, they be a whole nother way another time.
Right.
That's just not the way it is. Are you following me? It
Yes.
should never be that way. Never. But you do have people that can kind of get in there and do that. And my heart goes out to the people that have had to endure that. But you got to still hold your head up and continue to move on. Are you following me?
Yes.
And continue to hold on to your joy. Now, who was born to Bethuel, or Bethuel, the son of Milcah? He was the son of the Isha, not Ruma, the concubine. Now, this is in verse 15. Excuse me. And it happened before he had finished speaking that, behold, Ribkah, who was born of Bethuel, son of Malchah, the wife of Nachor. Abraham's brother came out with her picture on her shoulders. Now look at this once again. This was not, let me make sure this 14. Right, okay. Now, he was the son of the wife, not of Ruma, the concubine. So in other words, he had pedigree. He wasn't from a concubine. Concubines are not wives and they don't have status, which just makes them a slave. Just even as we read when Sarah promoted Hagar from being a concubine to a wife status, which made her son entitled to the inheritance.
Right.
But because she was the first, she said, no, he won't. And Yahuwah told Abraham, listen to what she's saying. But Hagar had right, or Ishmael had legal right to the inheritance because she was not a concubine. Right. She was a wife. Right. Okay, so you have to be careful. Like I said, they ain't that much status in the world. But me, myself, and me, myself, and I, you hear me?
Yes.
That's it. All right. Now the young woman was very beautiful to behold, a virgin. Now listen, no man had known her. She went down to the well, filled her pitcher, and came up. Once again, that word not known her. She was a virgin. She had not known a man. And she was beautiful. Now, with that being said, your beauty is not just um, your facial appearance, but it's how you carry yourself. What makes you beautiful? You have to understand, brothers can be beautiful too. Brothers can be beautiful too, or brothers can be ugly. It is how you carry yourself. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's very important to understand. Now you have to understand everybody has beauty in their in its beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so it's important that we understand that no matter what people may say about your physical appearance,
Right.
always make sure how you carry yourself always is looked upon as being beautiful.
Yes.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Because everybody don't look at each other. Everybody say, well, that person is drop dead gorgeous. And I'm like, okay, that's in your eyes. Are you following me? That's not in everybody else's eyes. And that's understandable because everybody's seeing out of their own eyes. But regardless of the physical look, you want to always be able to say, somebody said, but they are gorgeous because of the way they carry themselves. That's a beautiful person.
That's right.
Right, hear me? I heard one person say, what type of vibration are you carrying? What type of vibration do you bring into the room? Is your vibration uplifting, or is it making people feel down and low? You have to understand, you want people to feel alive. My songs say, I'm alive. I'm not dead. Are you following me? And people want to see your life. They want to experience your life.
Yes.
So you want that to be able to be seen. And so this was able to be seen upon her. And the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little mayam from your pitcher. And so she said, drink, my master. And then she quickly let her pitcher down to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw mayam for your camels also until they have finished drinking. That meant she stayed there and she worked the whole time until they were finished. Once they were finished, she was finished. She completed what she started. And when she had finished giving him a drink, in verse 20, then she quickly emptied her pitcher into the trough, ran back to the well to draw mayam, and drew for all the camels. So once again, it's important that we understand she was not afraid of hospitality, neither was she afraid of the challenge to be able to help and go beyond the call of duty.
Right.
Now, Rebecca was a delicate and strong woman drawing water for 10 camels. The common custom in the East is still for the ladies to go out and fetch water, sometimes travel for miles. You have to understand she was, what people may look at as she being weak. She wasn't weak, she was strong. And she didn't look at it as being demeaning. She looked at it as being, what you do. You do what you do. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's very important for us to understand. Very important. All right, now let's finish reading 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Let's read 8 verses, please.
And watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yahuwah had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold. Verse 23. And said, whose daughter are you? Please inform me, is there room in your Abba's house for us to spend the night? And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, we have both straw and fodder enough and room to spend the night. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahuwah. And he said, Baruch be Yahuwah, power of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his kindness and his truth toward my my master. As for me being on the way, Yahuwah led me to the house of my master's brothers. Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. Said 29.
Mhm.
Verse 29. And Rivkah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to the man to the fountain. And it is so.
And it is greedy anyway. Greedy. Let me see, who is this? I've been trying to woo my sister. It's amazing though. Now look what he did. He remained silent. Somebody say remain silent.
Remain silent.
Say it again, remain silent.
Remain silent.
He had to listen as to know whether or not Yahuwah had made his journey prosperous or not. Now you have to understand something. This is something I believe that he learned by watching Abraham's life. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because remember, he is the one that is responsible for Abraham's stuff. So that means he had to be in tune too. Because you go and you start breaking off jewelry, putting it on stuff, and then you didn't give it to the wrong person, you're in trouble. You in trouble. Now, once again, this is so amazing and just so yapa, because we see how things were done and how things should be done. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now we know in our day and time, not to try to minimize it, but I do believe that when you are going to court, now once again, when you're in your stages of getting to know each other, that's your time of getting to know one another. Then when your courtship comes, that's a whole nother area. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's a whole nother vein there, because that's when you start breaking out and you start talking about dowries and so forth. So you get to know one another, and you have to understand it takes a lifetime to be with a person and get to know them.
Right.
You could be married 30 years, 40 years, and you still get to know one another. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important to understand that, because you get to know people, you get to understand how much you have them, you get to understand how much you adore them and you cherish them. You also get to know when you want to choke them. Are you hearing me? When you want to choke them out. When when you want to have them sit up there and look at them and say, I'm going to come over there and I'm just going to knock you out that chair. Are you following me? But it's all in a how.
Yeah.
Are you following me? So it's important you understand those things. But when it's all said and done, it's because you're getting to know them. No matter how long you've been with a person, you will never ever be able to know everything about them in that time. You still learn them. We're still learning each other. And that is the great thing about relationships.
Right.
Is you still get to know them. If you ever stop learning that person, that means there's a problem, and that means the relationship needs some help. It needs some reviving. It needs some rejuvenation. It needs to be rejuvenated. It needs some help. It's the truth, because when you don't want to get to know one another anymore,
Right.
that means it needs help, and that's a message within itself. And so that's important that we understand. But he had to understand, like I say, and this is what he did. So once he had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing half a shekel. This is an Ibram custom adopted by other cultures as India, Pakistan, and the Arab nations. They take that gold nose ring, and 2 bracelets for her wrist weighing 10 shekels of gold. And he said, whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, in this room, is there room in your Abba's bed for us to lodge? Now, mind you, we always think that it was just him, but you have to understand, with that much stuff, he still had to have some people with him. But you have to understand, these are people that I won't say that are not important, but it's not important for them to be named. You got to mind you, now he's not just taking camels, he has great things with him. He has money, he has gifts, so he has to have somebody with him, to help transport the stuff. And so she says to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Micah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. We read in 25 more. She said to him, we have both straw and enough feed and room to lodge. So it wasn't that they didn't have it, they had it.
Right.
Now listen what happens. The man bowed down his head and worshiped who? Yahuwah. He didn't worship her, he worshiped Yahuwah. Now you have to understand, we're in a day and time now when you get talking about, when you meet people and you hear the salutation and you hear great things about Yahuwah, we don't stop and bow down before Yahuwah. To us, it becomes a common thing.
Mhm.
Oh, he did that. Oh, wow. That one of them things. But in that time, and it should be in our time, that when we hear great things about Yahuwah, it brings us to our knees, that we worship him out. Phenomenal.
That's right.
Great. That's important to us as a people. And he said, Baruch be Yahuwah power, who has not forsaken, listen at this, my master. Now, mind you, the whole time, his whole desire is to see and make sure Abraham is what? Baruch.
Right.
Your corn you can trust, and they are above well-being, and they ain't thinking about, well, you know what? If he do this and his son do this, where that's going to lead me? Now, mind you, he's the ruler over everything Abraham has. Once Isaac steps up in a position, he don't need to be in that position no more.
Right.
So he ain't selfish trying to kill him and take him out and, and reroute the inheritance. He wasn't doing that. Because remember, he was with him the whole time. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Now, it's important we understand that his whole objective and his whole desire was towards his master. And he says that Yahuwah power, who has not forsaken my master Abraham, of his unmerited esteem and his truth. As for me being on the way, Yahuwah led me to the bed of my master's brethren. Now, once again, he had to have a relationship as well. He had to have that walk too. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Because he had to be listening and he had to be sensitive to the voice of Yahuwah, so that he wouldn't go and, grab the wrong person. Very important for us to understand that. And so now he's giving praise to Abba Yahuwah that this is the connection. This is what Abba Yahuwah, this is what Abraham was telling him that he wanted. And now he is seeing it manifest itself. That's enough to give him praise. Are you following me? He didn't care who was watching. All he wanted to do was praise Abba Yahuwah for his unmerited mercy towards who? Abraham.
Yes.
Because he watched Abraham's life. And it's important that when people watch our lives, that they're able to praise Yahuwah with us and not be sitting up there, looking at us like we're crazy because they feel like we're not entitled to it. Let me tell you something. That was that song Commission used to sing, I'm so unworthy. No, he makes us worthy.
That's right.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
I'm so unworthy. No, we are made worthy. Now, when we were walking outside of truth and we were not walking according to Torah, we were unworthy. Now we are worthy. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Worthy of his baruching, worthy of his healing, worthy of all these things. Not in our own merit, but in because we are walking in truth and then we're walking what? In obedience.
Right.
That is important. We can't be playing these games. No. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Then the man came to the bed and he unloaded the camels and provided straw and feed for the camels and made to wash his feet and his feet of the men who were with him. So understand, he wasn't alone. And food was set before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told about my errand. And he said, speak on. Once again, get business done. We can eat later and we can talk later. We hear about business. That's another thing. You got to have people that's about business, that understand I'm here on a mission and that mission can't be changed. I know we're ready to eat and all this great stuff, but let's pump the brakes. You got to know why I'm here. Right. And so he said, I am Abraham's servant, root my master greatly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. Excuse me. Now listen, no mention of Abraham breeding pigs because he ate clean animals. That's very important, though, seriously, because you have more people that fight people on the dietary law than the law allows. Well, in Corinthians, it didn't say nothing about no unclean eating. You start thinking, but it alludes to it. Are you following me?
Yes.
If you already know you're not supposed to eat unclean, according to Chayei chapter 11, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Then you automatically know anything that's added to that is adding, not taking away. But he wasn't a breeder of pigs. What does that say to us? We don't eat that meat.
Right.
He didn't breed pigs. He had all the rest of these. Excuse me. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, very important that we look at this. Now, you have to understand they were cousins. And it says in verse 36, and Sarah, my master's Isha, bore a son to my master when she was old, and to him he has given all that he has. He had no problem with saying it belongs to him. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
This is he's a gem. And I don't say that there are no more gems out there, because I believe there are gems out there. I believe there are more people out there that have this mentality. Are you following me? That can be trusted.
Yeah.
You know you got to trust them, and you know they ain't gonna go up and destroy your name, and they ain't gonna take nothing from you.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
That's important for us to understand. All right, verse 37. Let's finish reading.
Now my master made me swear, saying, you should not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell. But you shall go to my Abba's bed and to my Mishpachah and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, Yahuwah, before whom I walk, will send his angel with you and prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my Mishpachah and from my Abba's bed. You shall be clear from this oath when you arrive among my Mishpachah. For if they will not give her to you, then you will be released from my oath. And this day I came to the well and said, O Yahuwah, power of my master Abraham, if you will now prosper the way in which I go, behold, I stand by the well of Mayim. And it shall come to pass that when the virgin comes out to draw Mayim, and I say to her, please give a little Mayim from your pitcher to drink, and she says to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom Yahuwah has appointed for my master's son. And it is so.
And it is so. All right. Now, once again, we're seeing a whole play-by-play what takes place. He's talking to him because now he's inside his home, and it's only right to share with him why he's there and who he is representing. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
This is important too, and I want to take this sidebar to say this. You have to understand, even though Isaac was a grown man, he still was representing the house of Abraham. There was a right way to do everything. You have to understand, even if one says, well, my whole mishpachah ain't in truth, and it's just me on my own, you still represent Yasharal. You still are a spokesman through your life of Yasharal. And you have to live. We all have to live in accordance. And we can't have our lives just any kind of way. Are you following me? Yes. It is important that we live right. It's important that we represent correctly. Yes. And so he wasn't out working or operating on his own. And any aunt that is out there needs to understand, you represent the name of your house. That's right. You represent the name of your house. And somebody say, well, my family not in, you still represent the Bayeth of Yasharal. That's right. And it's important that you govern yourself in that manner, because they may not look back to your immediate family, but they're going to still look back to your family, Yasharal. Right. And that is important for us to understand and maintain, us as women as well, but more so to the man, especially when you're dealing with relationships. That's why I'm a stickler for ox making themselves known. That is one of my number one things. As an Ema and as a Mora, you make yourself known. I don't care if, well, her family in it. It doesn't matter. She's in it. That means it's in them too, unless she or he is adopted. Whether it doesn't matter. Well, they're not in truth. Don't matter. You make your presence known. Whether they laugh, snickle, don't accept it. You make your presence known, because you never want to be looked upon as being the person that's coming in by way of a thief. It's being responsible. Well, I'm just here, as friends. We're just here talking as friends right now, getting to know each other. Make yourself known. So even if it doesn't go right, at least they can say, well, at least that young man wanted us to know. You got to break the stereotype. Right. That has to be broken. Brother meet somebody, the first thing he want to do, he want to start talking, he want to get to know. First of all, before you come talking about, you better make your presence known. Well, you will make your presence unknown. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's the rules of this house. And it should be the rule of every person in Yasharal, because when you make yourself known, you are letting them know, I'm not here to violate your house.
That's right.
It's only right. Now, understand what I mean when I say that. I'm talking about when you are talking about getting to know that individual. Well, we just friends. It don't matter if you still talking on that level. You know what's going to escalate. Now, business, all the rest of that stuff, that's business. But you talking about, well, we're gonna talk because we're gonna get to know each other as friends. Okay, well, you already know where you're headed. Are you following me? You know, you go out and you get in your car. Your mindset is, I'm going to the store. You already know where you mapped out to go. So you let it be known. Are you following me?
Yes.
So in the event something does not happen, it can never be said, well, we don't know who was who represented or who or what. It's always known. Are you following me? Because we have nothing to hide. Nothing whatsoever to hide. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. Now he talks to him. He said, but you shall go to my Abba's bed and to my mishpachah and take an issue for my son. And I said to my master, perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, Yahuwah, before whom I walk, will send his malach with you and prosper you, or prosper your way, and you shall take a issue for my son from my mishpachah and from my Abba's house. Now understand something here. Yes, I'm going to sound like a broken record. How many wives or how many issues did he go to that man's house to get?
One.
How many?
One.
How many?
One.
How many?
One.
Come on, how many?
One.
One. One, 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 one. Are you hearing me? Not one, one, one added up. One. 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 He did not add. He only went and got one.
That's right.
And he was mindful. Now understand. Now, somebody say, but that's what's that. Who didn't tell him to go get 2 and 3? He said he'll prosper my way. He said, and I want to do this. He went and got him one issue. And watch this. The criteria and that which was needed, she knocked it out.
Right.
She met it. And she didn't meet it on a curve. She met it 3D, head on.
Right.
It didn't need to be graded on a curve. She was able to do it 3D because she was able to portray or show what was in her.
That's right.
That she had the ability to do these things. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And that she had an eye to see and an ear to hear. Very important for us to understand that. And he's giving him play by play, and he didn't forget everything he said. He was able to rehearse it in the ears of the house, of this brother's house. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Why is it important for us to understand that? Because whenever you are on you have an assignment and you have a message to take, it is important that you are detailed about the message that has been given to you. So that when you stand before the people, they will understand that you listen and you listen attentively and that you are serious about the one that you're representing and being a spokesman for. That's important. And we can never forget that. He said, now, in verse 42, you will be clear from this oath when you arrive among my mishpachah, for if they will not give her to you, then you will be released from my oath. He's telling him everything. And he said, and this yom I came to the well and said, O Yahuwah, power of my master Abraham, if you will now prosper the way in which I go. Once again, he understood why, because he watched the life of Abraham. So he knew what he needed to do. He knew what he needed to step in order to get results. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
We got to have results. Now listen what he says in verse 43. He said, behold, I stand by the well of Mayim, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin comes out to draw Mayim, and I say to her, now he knew what he was going to say to her, please give me a little Mayim. They're at dinner and eat, everybody ready to grub. He said, but before I put a morsel in my mouth, let me explain to you why I am here.
Right.
Let us get this matter, I don't want to say out of the way, but let us get this matter to the forefront so that you understand my motive for being here and understand my purpose for being here.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
And he says, and she says to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels. Also, let her be the woman whom Yahuwah has appointed for my master's son. Why? Because she had all of the characteristics of a woman of hospitality. Not only was she Yapa, but she carried that said that she could have this and not be stingy. She could have this and know how to deal with it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, with that being said, now, like I say, in our day and time, walk with me. And I'm hurrying up. But in our day and time, you've built something. And when you have built something and or are building something, you want to make sure the person you bring in your life is able and capable of handling what you built.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
In other words, you don't have to place a puppet master. That means you stand behind me and you hold my hands and you everything I do, you got to control me to do it. You can't trust me. Now I'm going to say this and I put it out there because I know my ish don't have a problem. I handle the money in this relationship. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
I handle the money. I'm serious. His paychecks come to me. Every dime of it comes to me. Every dime. He trusts me. He has no reason not to. I've never given him a reason not to. He trusts me. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
He know I'm not going to go and do no crazy stuff. That's not in me to do. When we first started courting, he could trust me.
That's right.
It's important you understand that. When we first started courting, he gave me $600. And I opened up a savings account and put it in there. You got to understand something. You want to be trusted with something, give a person a reason to trust you.
That's right.
I didn't touch that money. I didn't bother it. I trusted him. Are you following me?
Yes.
And he trusted me. And we built. But you have to be careful because when you are building, if you don't build with the right person or establishing a relationship with the right person, you can't trust them.
That's right.
He never had to come and ask me, what happened to that? What you mean, what happened to that? He never had to come and I got a wardrobe full of clothes and no bills are paid. My bills are paid. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And if I do buy something before I touch a dime, I always ask. And it's not because I can't buy. And it's not because I can't spend the money. It is because I respect him. Can I purchase this? Can I get, I see, I want this. Can I buy it? He always tell me, you can buy it. Why? I said, because I respect you. You work hard for what you bring here. And I'm not going to go, and no, I'm not going to be reckless, but it's the respect that I have for him as a man and as a hardworking man. So I ask him, you can buy that. I know I can, but I still want to ask you. I want to get this. Can I get this? Or we're going to do this. Can we do this next week and do this way, that way? It is always open. Are you following me? Yes. But he always comes. He said, I got something for you. Oh, yeah. Are you following me? Yes. So it's important that we understand that because he can trust me. And that is important. If he can trust you in the oodles and noodles stages, then he can trust you when things begin to build. When you begin to build and you have more. But if you already have, and you're trying to bring somebody in, you better see what they do. It's crazy. But and what was that movie that Queen Latifah was in that I enjoyed? Me and you watched it 2 times. Where she's with, watched it twice. I cannot think of it. I can't think of the name. But anyway, there's a part in there. Her best friend was just a gold digger. And her best friend ended up getting with him. But he ended up falling for Queen Latifah, and she ended up falling for him because she was genuine and she wasn't a gold digger. Just right. I think it is just right. And she was genuine and she wasn't for all that. She had a simple house and all that stuff. I won't say simple, but she had a house that was hers, and she had a car, and that's what she enjoyed doing. But she was not one that was trying to be flashy. But her best friend said, I'm gonna be a basketball wife, and I'm gonna have a bling bling, and I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. And she really was only with him for the money. She really was with them only for the money. And so when it's all said and done, after they broke up. When he got hurt, she thought that lifestyle that she was going to have was going to be down the drain. She's like, I know, I can't be living with no man broken. I can't trade all this out. No, I can't trade all this out and go back to the way I was living. Because remember, she ain't had nothing. You know, you going to say you can't go back to the way you were living. You start thinking you ain't had nothing. And so now in the movie, once again, I like to use movies as analogies. In the movie, she basically walks away and said, well, I need time because I don't know what's going on. While Queen Latifah is right there with him, never left him, helped him to get back up on his feet. And then anything she did, she always did it in a simplistic way. She never went in trying to buy the most expensive or whatever. She liked what he liked. She enjoyed what he enjoyed. And so once he got back on his feet, she come back, you know, oh baby, you know, I messed up and you know, this and that and the other. I want to give it a try. So he tried. He said, okay, I'm gonna see. Now, mind you, he had already spent time with Queen Latifah, being there with him, you know, during his time of coming back, you know, trying to get back in and so forth. So they go out to eat. And he asked her what she wants. She orders the most expensive wine. She orders the most expensive food. And he sits there and he just kind of sits back and because he now checks her out. He realizes this person that he was only with because of the way she looked and because of the lie that she could push. But Queen Latifah was genuine. You know, she was thick, but she was genuine. You know, they always try to play that. You know, they don't want to make it like, you know, the Coke bottle shape is the one that's this, and the thick woman, you know, you don't want her because she, you know, is pretty in the face and thick in the waist. You have to understand that ain't had nothing to do with it because it was about her morals. So she went trying to buy all this stuff, went shopping, and he just kind of stopped for a moment. And he told her, he said, this ain't gonna work. And she said, what's wrong? He said, this is not gonna work. He said, I can't do this no more. He said, I can't and I won't. This is why it is important when you are looking for a companion. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Not a mate. You're not looking for your other sock. Are you hearing me? Socks have mates. Are you hearing me? You are looking for a companion.
That's great. I like that.
Gloves have mates. You are looking for a companion. That is important. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important that you understand the balance in companionship and that you can be trusted.
That's a good one.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand that. And the reason I'm saying this is because if you follow those instructions, Proverbs 31, you will find yourself outside of having a whole lot of heartache because you know that person is going to value not only what is yours, but they're going to value what is theirs. You follow what I'm saying? Very important. And so this is why he's giving him a play-by-play. He said in verse 45, but before I had finished speaking in my heart, there was Rivkah coming out with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down to the well and drew meal. And I said to her, please let me drink. And she made haste and let her pitcher down from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give your camels a drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels a drink too also. Now, once again, now you have to understand, he's telling her from Mishpachah, all that she's done. He's basically showing her credentials. He is basically praising her, and at the same time praising how he has raised his daughter. Are you following me?
Yes.
That's important. Then I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nachor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed my head and worshiped Yahuwah. Now he's making sure he understands. Now I worship Yahuwah. So if y'all saw me bowing down, I was not bowing down to her. I was bowing down to Yahuwah. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And Baruch Yahuwah, power of my master Abraham, who had led me in the way of truth to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. Are you following me? Very important. The way of truth was taught Torah. The Torah was kept by Abraham. And he discipled him. So it's important that we understand that he discipled him. And this is why he was able to not mimic, but he was able to do just what was to be done. So it is important that we understand and how we relate this to our lives today. Very important for us as a mishpachah. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important. If you want to build a home, because before you build that physical home, You got to build that spiritual home. You got to build that bond where trust is at the center of it. First of all, Yahuwah has to be in the center of it.
Right.
And then trust has to be there. Because you got to be able to trust one another.
That's right.
That's very important. All right, let's read verse 49. Mm-hmm.
Verse 49.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you are going to show kindness and truth to my master, let me know, and if not, let me know, so that I turn to the evil or great. See, Rivka is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's Isha, as Yahuwah has spoken. To be when Abraham's servant towards the Ered. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold, and God gave them to Rivka. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to Sheba. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. But her brother and her Ema said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he says to them, do not delay me, since Yahuwah has prospered my way. Let me go, so that I go to my master.
And it is so. Now, very important we understand. Once again, he had to get that what? He had to get that in the open, because if not, they'd have been sitting there chit-chatting, eating, and then next they go on. Not that you forget,
Right.
but you got to understand, he's just put gold in her nose and gold on her arm. Now, you understand what people, where you from, first thing they thinking about is cash cow. They thinking cha-ching. Really, look at the mentality. And so now it is important that you establish why you are there, so you're not there just wasting time. That's very important. Now listen what he says. He says, here is Rivka before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's Isha, for as Yahuwah has spoken. And it came to pass when Abraham's servant heard these words, or their words, he was moved. It says he worshiped Yahuwah, bound himself together. It didn't matter what they were doing. It didn't matter what was going on, because he realized Yahuwah had not only brought him to that place, but now he has finalized his assignment.
Right.
He's got it to a point where now this is it. We can eat, we can celebrate. Can't celebrate until the deal is done.
Right.
You know that saying, don't count your eggs until they hatch. Count your chicken until they hatch, or what have you. You count, I got 50, but all of them may not hatch. None of them may hatch. You might have a bunch of rotten eggs. So you can't do that. Are you following me? Yeah. So it's important. Now, verse 53 says, then the servant brought out jewels of silver, jewels of gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rivka. He also gave precious things to her brother and to her mother. Now, if you notice, he didn't give anything to the Abba. Because you got to understand, 9 times out of 10, the understanding is that when he came there, he probably already had given to him. Mm-hmm. Are you following me? Because he's in his home. So here it is. He's given to them. Now watch, look at this. In Eastern culture, you have to give gifts to the parents of the girl and vice versa. So you give gifts. Are you following me?
Yes.
When you can give them, when you give gifts, you want to make sure that you're able to provide. Are you following me? Yes. Ain't nothing wrong with giving a gift. Are you following what I'm saying? Yes. As long as it's understood the reason why you're giving it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Very important. Now, once again, then the servant brought out jewels of silver, jewels of gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rivka. And he also gave precious things to her brother and to her mother. By baruching the house, this is how he establishes this, okay? And also, and he and the men who were with him ate and drank and stayed all night. Then they arose in the morning, and he said, send me away to my master. Now, mind you, they didn't party and they didn't have an awesome time. Now, at this time, once again, it's the Ema and the brother, which I'm assuming that this is the household, okay? So if you baruch the household, you baruch the Abba, whether he's there, present, or not. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Now, listen what he says. And he says, verse 55, but her brother and her mother said, Let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then after she may go. Now you have to understand, why would that be a thought? The reason it is a thought, because the longer they stay, the more they have to give out. Greedy mama, greedy brother. They are the ones that's in charge. And now this is where the brother is in charge of the Abba is not in the home. Are you following me? As long as the father is there, the Abba is there, the son is not in charge. But when the Abba is not there, that's when the son steps up and is in position and takes the authority, him and the Ima. Are you following me? He gives them gifts. Now you have to understand why he's giving you gifts. Why you want them to stay there 10 days? What's the purpose of that? No purpose. It's just to get more. And they were greedy, point blank. Laban, and that's later on down when you find out more about him, you find he's greedy. And so is she. She's the only one ain't greedy. Are you following me?
Yes.
Rivka is not greedy. She's the only one you can look at her life. She's not greedy. She's not a greedy person. Now listen to what it says in verse 56. And he said to them, do not hinder me, since Yahuwah has prospered my way. Send me away so that I may go to my master. So they said, we will call the young woman and ask her personally, because they were hoping that she would side with them and wanting to stay longer. Now, like I said, you got to understand, we ain't talking about, in our mind, you got to think in a little box. No, you got camels. They probably took it and poured it out. We're here. We want you to know who we are from, who we represent. So they gave it. Are you following me?
Yes.
But listen at this. Understand, they had it to give. You can't expect that from somebody who don't have it. Now, that's not saying you can't expect something, but you can't expect them to give you $1 million and they ain't got no $1 million. Are you following me? That's important for us to understand. Now, listen what they said. Then they called Rivka and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. Because you have to understand, she probably already knew they're greedy. And if we hear anything, because you have to understand, people that are greedy will take.
Yeah.
They will. So they sent away Rivka, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. Deborah, and she to be there with her. Not saying that they didn't have anything. Now, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, they didn't have that. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
They did not have that. So they went on. Now we look at verse 60. To 67. Y'all still with me? I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right.
Then Baruch Rivka saying to her, my sister, may you become thousands upon 10,000s. May your offspring possess the gates of their enemies. Then Rivka and her female servants got up, mounted the camels, and followed the man. So the servant took Rivka and left. Now Yasek was returning from Bir Laharoi, for he was living in the Negev region. In the early evening, Yasek went out to walk in the field, and looking up, he saw camels coming. Rivka looked up, and when she saw Yasek, she got down from her camel and asked the servant, who is that man in the field coming to meet us? The servant answered, it is my master. So she took her veil and covered herself. Then the servant told Yasek everything he had done, and Yasek brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah and took Rivka to be his Isha. Yasek ahabed her, and he was comforted after his Eden's death. And it is so.
And it is so very important that we look at this. Now listen, it says, and they Baruch Rivka and said to her, said our sister, may you become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gates of those who hate them. According to this, it said billions of Yashreelites. This prophecy was fulfilled as given to Abraham when the 10 tribes were scattered and they became many nations. Once again, this is how we continue. Now understand, with this, that doesn't mean outside when you marrying outside and you going and going. No, it's talking about us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
When we marry, Isaac's children will be victorious as this prophecy comes down through Yaakov to his 12 sons, collectively known as Yasharal. We are Yasharal. Are you following me?
Yes.
And that is important, that at the end of the day, no matter what tribe, whether we are Dan, Naphtali, Yehuda, we are still Yasharal. Are you feeling me?
Yes.
It's important that we understand that. Then Rivkah and her maids arose. She had more than one maid. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
She had maids because she had to have maids. You have to understand for the different tasks of her life. And they rode on the camels and followed the men or the man. So the servant took Rivkah and departed. Now Isaac came from the way of Beer Laid Roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked, and there the camels were coming. Then Rebekah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from her camel. Now that she got down off of her camel, it was the custom for women to get off their ride and bow. And it says now in verse 65, for she said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it's my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. Probably saw how gorgeous he was. And said, is that him? You know, when you see that just gorgeous specimen of man, do you hear me? I'm like, who's that man coming? Who's that man? Oh.
Who's that lady?
Are you following me? Very important. It's always, no matter how long you've been married, you always want to look at it and say, is that him coming? Oh, he said, give me butterflies in the stomach. Are you hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
Very important. She covered herself to show she was willing to marry him and showed a sign of submission. It's important we understand that. And he goes on to say, in this, severely lacking in our modern women. I don't agree with that. I agree to disagree. I believe that that we need to understand submission, because you got it to where it has been erroneously defined. People think submission means to be just a slab of meat. People believe submission is, you tell me shut up, be quiet, sit in a corner, and don't do anything. You call me out of my name. That's not submission. You have to understand there's a difference. That's slavery. That's bondage.
Right.
Submission says, I agree to marry you and I agree to build with you. And however we're going to do it, we do it. The vision or the mandate is on your life. But if you're going to bring me in your life, then you need to share with me what the mandate is, because I can't help you. And we can't truly be one if we don't both know what the mandate is.
That's right.
Are you following me? So that's important. And so I disagree with that. I do know there are women out there that have said, that are single and that said, look, I don't want to be with this. And then there are those women that say, it doesn't matter. If you just bring me in, it don't matter how many wives you have. That's not submission, y'all. That's desperation.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Because you already made up your mind. Well, it doesn't matter if he has 2 or 3 wives already. I just want to be in it because you don't believe that Yahuwah can baruch you with your own. That's a disservice to him. Are you following? That's just like saying there are no real people out here. You are lying. The truth ain't in you, because there's some real people out here.
Right.
Right.
I'm real, and there are other real people out here. And so the thing of it is, though, that we have to always look at is how is it presented? You can't be a brother trying to court a young lady, and the first thing you're giving her is, do's, and don'ts. And not, instead of asking, well, what is your view on this? What do you think about this? How do you think we should do this? It's a relationship.
Right.
Relationships are built on mutuality. This is what we got to look at. How we're going to raise our children. Our finances. Well, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how you're going to follow. Ducklings follow behind ducks. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
They do. You want a woman to be submissive to you, you got to be able to not just lead her, but you got to be able to also minister to her.
Right.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Ministry is Torah. Ministry is touch. Ministry is handle.
Yes.
You have to be able to taste her desires. Listen to what I'm saying and elevate your thinking.
Right.
You have to be able to taste her charisma. You need to be able to taste her goals, her aspirations.
Right.
And when you can do that, you can push her. And if you push her, guess what? She will push you and support you.
Right.
It's the truth. We don't want to be treated like we just some sidebar. We ain't no, look, this ain't no buffet. We just a part of the menu. We are the menu. Are you following me?
Yes.
We are the menu. And everything on that menu is about us. It's important to understand this.
Right.
You are a menu too. And if you're not treated in that manner, that what causes a breakdown. That's important for us to understand. You are a menu. And your Isha is the only one supposed to have your menu. It's true. Because they're supposed to know what is on there, what is to be ordered, what is not to be ordered.
Right.
That's the only one supposed to know that. That is important for us to understand if we're going to build healthy relationships.
Right.
That's right.
It's the truth. And that is very important. And so you have to understand when she saw him, I'm sure she saw him because I don't believe he was ugly.
Right.
She said, who's that man coming? And look, and then because if she wasn't going to submit, she wouldn't have wrapped up. Okay, let me wrap up. Letting him know I'm ready to be your Isha. I'm ready to go to that next level because this is what I came here for. Now, mind, she don't know nothing about him. She just seeing him. But there's something about how he carries himself. Are you following me?
Yes.
Like I said, you got, anyway. Anyway, Sean, stop shaking your hand at me. Anywho, yeah, I'm gonna call you out. All right. Now, it says in verse 66. And the servant told Isaac and all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Ribkah, and she became his Isha, and he ahabed her. So Isaac was comforted after his Emma's death. Now, once again, look at it said, and he ahabed her. And it said, and she became his wife, and he ahabed her. Now you have to understand, he ahabed her, and he took care of her. She wasn't just something to make him forget about his Emma, because you have to understand they had a great relationship, even though it does not really go into depth about Isaac and Sarah's relationship. They had a great bonded relationship.
That's right.
They did. And so now when she passed, you have to understand he had to be comforted because he missed his what? Emma. He had her tent. Are you following me? It says in the scroll of Yasher that she would teach him in her tent. He would come and she would teach him different things. So they had a relationship. And so she was not to replace her, because nobody can ever replace your Emma. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
That's a different working relationship. But there's something about comforting a person in hard times. You want to be a person that can comfort somebody and not push a person away. Then she was willing. She was willing. She knew the reason she was coming there. She didn't go trying to size him up, see what he had. She already knew that was her purpose. So watch this. He didn't just a figment of his imagination.
Right.
She had to present herself just like she presented herself to Eleazar. She had to do the same thing. Willing to give of herself. And that's what she did. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And in return, she gets something. So this was a workable relationship. Once again, it wasn't no mate. This was his companion. His companion. Because mates can be replaced. Companionship cannot.
That's right.
That's very important. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important. And so, once again, right, chapter 25, we have 18 verses.
Chapter 25, verse 1. And it reads, And Abraham took another wife, or another Ish, whose name was Keturah. And she bore him Zimran, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shua. And Yokshan brought forth Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Leumim. But to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still yet living, and sent them away from his son Yitzchak. He put to the land of the east. These are all the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last and died in a great old age, aged and satisfied with all that was gathered to his people. And it is
And it is so. Now you have to understand he did remarry, but watch this. It was after, and it was after Sarah was already gone. Now, the children of the half wives or the concubines could not in Torah be permitted firstborn inheritance. This only belonged to Sarah and her son Isaac. But the gifts here specify something of value, something tangible like gold, silver, cows, sheep, and goats, since our Abba Abraham was very rich, and he Baruch and a Baruch man of Yahuwah. So it is understood that he had many sons. Now understand this: he had many sons, but they were not all a part of the promise.
Right.
If you notice, they were sent eastward. They were sent away from Isaac, not to for him to embrace them and they become a part of what Yahuwah was doing. That wasn't the point. Are y'all following me? And many people try to use this as a means to say, well, Abraham had many sons. Of course he did, and many daughters, but they were not all a part of the promise.
Right.
It's just through the lineage or the line of Isaac. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
He gave them gifts and he sent them on. He didn't give them land. Now, once again, it is important that we understand that. And he died and he went to sleep in a nice, ripe old age. Now, let's look at verse 9. Mhm.
And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his issue. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that Yahuwah bereaved his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the well Lahai Roi. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, who had gathered the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, and Tema, Jetur, Nephish, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names, by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. 18.
To 18.
And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Mitzrim, as thou goest toward Assyria. And he died in the presence of all his brethren. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, it's important we understand that he did not leave Ishmael out, but he was not a part of the promise. And so here it is. They had to come together. Now, once again, as we learned in the earlier chapter, it was Abraham who purchased this in Hebron because he wanted to make sure that his family had what? Land to be buried on. And that's important. And not just any land, but where trees were in a nice place for them to be buried. And they came together. And this is what they did. And the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth, where there Abraham was buried, and Sarah his issue. Now, if you notice, none of the rest of his wives, concubines, were buried there. Are you following me? Once again, that remains separate. So everybody that want to constantly holler about, you can have more than one wife. It's not going to be but one that's going to be esteemed. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's not going to be but one. Now let's go look at this again. Dawood had all those wives, but it wasn't but one. Are you hearing me? Bathsheba, right? And it was Suleiman. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So it's important that we understand the when you start putting polygamy out there. and you start saying, because we need to have this and we need to have that, it is only going to be one that's going to be chosen. He's not going to choose everybody. And so that's important to understand. Once again, he sent them on, but he did not discount them. Now, and it came to pass after the death of Abraham that power bereaved his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt in Beer Lahai Roi. Now, this is the generation of Yashmael or Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, the Mitzrayim, Egyptian, bore to Abraham. Now, listen what it says: Sarah's handmaiden bore to Abraham. She is never given the status equal to Sarah because she was never supposed to have that status. Are you following me?
Yes.
He couldn't. That's why he was stripped of those things, because it was never for him to have that. And so it gives the genealogy of each one. Now let's look at each one. Now it says the Bekor of Yashmael, Nabor or Naboyah, then Kedar, Abil, Misbam. Now Kedar, it gives Dunmar, Tema, and it shows down here the Muslim prophet Muhammad was a descendant from Kedar. Duma of Jandar, a place in Saudi Arabia called Jaf today. And then we look at an oasis in northern Arabia. This place here that is spoken of, Tema. And it is Tema, then Netur, Nephish, and Kedima. These were the sons of Yashmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlement, 12 princes according to their nations. So he only kept them in a what? Prince status. They became 12 nations. And listen what it says. The end times war is between the 12 sons of Ishmael and Isaac, the sons of darkness versus the sons of light. The whole thing is about the inheritance, and the battle still rages on to this Yam who owns the land of Yasharal. This is why it is important that no matter what else we see, and no matter who else may be trying to be in this, the real war is between us and our cousins. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Ishmael's descendants. That's what is important, that we remember and that we maintain. Yeah, we have the Caucasians that are constantly trying to wage war because they're trying to contaminate the bloodline. That's what I said. And it's important that we understand their saying is, if we can't weed them out, we will breed them out.
That's right.
It's important that you understand that. So once again, and understand where the other fight, or the real fight, let me put it in that manner, comes from. These are just little wars. These are little, wars, but the true battle comes between us and our cousins. This is important for us to maintain and hold on to. So once again, I pray on this Yom that Yahuwah has said something to you that has encouraged you this first part of our Shabbat class. As I say, it becomes lengthy because I want to get out to you details and give to you as he gives to me, very important unto us. But at this time, we're going to break for lunch and a time to digest what we have received. And so I want to say to you, keep your head up, keep your shoulders square, keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because you can't go wrong when you adhere to his instructions for your life. I want you to remember, I am Aliyah Yasharal, and I am the leader of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Bread Belief Ministries, located in South Carolina. I want you to remember, here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Bread Belief Ministries, this is the place where
the Torah does the body excellent.
Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch atah and keep you in his shalom. Until we return at 8 o'clock tonight for part 2. Remember, you've been touched by Champion TV, a place where the champions reside, and it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.